What's up, guys? Sam Adams here, and today we are actually going to be talking about Call of Duty. Now, for those of you that follow my channel, you'll know that I normally don't mention the existence of Call of Duty anymore unless it's in passing or I'm using it as an example of what not to do. But that's not always how it's been. I actually started my YouTube channel doing Call of Duty clips in the theater mode, and eventually I just kind of got more and more into it and bought more and more equipment and stuff, and here I am today. Sorry for hitting the mic. But, I thought that today I'd make a video on what happened with me and Call of Duty personally, and what happened with Call of Duty in general. So we're kind of going to be combining a timeline of my playing of the Call of Duties and what happened to Call of Duty in general. So it's probably going to be kind of a long commentary. I'd recommend grabbing a drink, so pause here. Alright, now that you're back with your drink, let's go ahead and get into it. So basically, we all have that one first love in our lives, whether it be, a girl, or if, you don't like girls or someone else. You always have you always have that first love that you're really, really into, and technologically, for me, that was Call of Duty. Actually, the first time I played Call of Duty, I was at a family reunion in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and the campground had Wi-Fi. Praise the Lord for campground Wi-Fi. My sort of cousin brought his, at the time, brand new 80 gigabyte, wow, PlayStation 3 with the glossy black piano finish, the big fat one, and he had just gotten Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And honestly, I don't remember seeing the family at all that entire weekend. I spent most of it in that cabin playing Call of Duty 4. So whenever I got back to my home, I went to my GameStop and I purchased Call of Duty 3 because at the time I was playing PS2. And I bought Call of Duty 3, and I played through that campaign 3 times consecutively, not playing anything else. I definitively remember playing through it 3 times. And you guys know how you get like these definitive moments in your mind, and there's nothing really significant about them or important about them, but for some reason you always just remember them. One of those, well, actually probably the first one of those that I distinctly remember, is that the Carolina Panthers were on, and my entire rest of my family was watching the Panthers absolutely get whooped by someone. I don't remember who they were playing, but I remember listening to someone get a touchdown, and I was on the final mission of the Call of Duty 3 single-player campaign, and I was dominating, getting headshots left and right. Obviously, they didn't count for anything back then, but just the story of that game was so great, and that's when I first fell in love with Call of Duty. Later that year, I believe, that Christmas, it was the Christmas of my 6th grade year, I got a PlayStation 3. That just shows that I'm just now a senior in high school, by the way. So I got my PlayStation 3, and the first game that I got that I really played for it was the Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, just like my sort of cousin had back that October. And I got really, really into that game. The cool thing about the first Call of Duty 4 is that the single-player campaign was absolutely dominating. It was amazing. And the multiplayer actually took off really big in the competitive world. And not to mention the online multiplayer itself was just really, really popular. And I like to think this is kind of when Eve bit the technological apple of, the Garden of Eden. Basically, whenever something starts rising, with every rise there's a fall. And unfortunately, I think Call of Duty 4 started the fall of Call of Duty in general. But all in all, that was the best Call of Duty game, in my opinion, to date. Now we're on to World at War. Unfortunately, I kind of skipped World at War because I got so big into Call of Duty 4 that I couldn't draw myself away from it to play World at War. But I did buy it, and I did play it a couple of times. There was nothing wrong with it. But it was still really good considering that Treyarch took its first stab at making a Call of Duty game. And when you're taking your first stab at anything, obviously it's not going to be the best that it can be. But Treyarch did a solid job with with World at War, excuse me. And I know that that's a lot of people's favorite Call of Duty. And that's pretty cool that a company is able to go right out of the gate and make a new game. And that it can go ahead and be picked up by the community so fast. So obviously it was a pretty good game. But what I really, really got into, you can ask any of my friends that were my friends at the time, is Modern Warfare 2. Every day at lunch, I would sit down and say, well, boys, only 112 more days. Next day, only 111 more days. I had a countdown of Modern Warfare 2. Whenever this day finally came out, I remember, I think it was It was the 10th of November 2009 when this game came out. I remember because it was 11/10/9. And I actually ended up buying the special edition controller and the hardened edition of the game, as well as, I think, some kind of poster or something. And I had to drive to my mom had to drive me to 2 different GameStops to pick up all of the components of the stuff that I pre-ordered, of how excited for this game that I was. And I'm not going to lie, this game did not disappoint. The major thing that was innovative in Modern Warfare 2 was the fact that they had different stuff like one-man army. They had all of those kill streaks. There were like 20 different kill streaks you could have, as opposed to the presets in Modern Warfare, or Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, that include the UAV, the airstrike, and the chopper gunner, that you actually couldn't control the chopper gunner. It was just a chopper. And Modern Warfare 2 implemented the AC-130, the Predator missile, the care package, all of these different things. The nuke, oh my gosh, the nuke. People got so excited over the nuke. And the kill streaks were a major part of that game, not to mention the fact that this was the first time that DLC had actually been a significant part of the game, to my knowledge. And for me in particular, the DLC for this game was major, and I remember actually counting down the days until the new DLC would come out. That's how big I got into Modern Warfare 2. And still today, it can hold its own if you're playing it online. But in this era, something else started to take off, and that is the YouTube Call of Duty commentators really started going. I know that a lot of people have been listening to Call of Duty commentators for a long time, but I know that Woody's Gamertag was going. Whiteboy 7th Street got hugely popular during the Modern Warfare 2 era, and amongst a handful of others, I'm sure Wings of Redemption probably was going pretty good at this point. But a lot of these people really got big into the commentating on YouTube, scene whenever Modern Warfare 2 was out. So during this entire 2009 to 2010 era is when a lot of changes were taking place. And again, this is part of the build-up that brings the mountain of Call of Duty to the very peak where it starts to decline. After Modern Warfare 2 came along, we get Black Ops. That is my #1 favorite game of all time. I'm a huge fan of the Woodstock era. I'm a huge fan of Vietnam. And Black Ops had Vietnam all over it. The campaign was in Vietnam. The multiplayer maps were in Vietnam. And I freaking loved this game. Sorry for yelling. I know I just shook your earlobes. But I'm getting really excited reminiscing about Black Ops. The main thing is that Treyarch came back from World at War and dominated this game scene. Black Ops 1 was absolutely amazing. And the Call of Duty points thing was the major innovative part of this, because you could purchase it, like the Commando, I believe, was like 2,400 COD points, something like that. It might be 5,000. I don't remember. I haven't played this game in a really long time. But the Call of Duty points were a major part of this game, not only because it changed the way the entire game played, but also because it gave a new meaning to how you ended every game of multiplayer. But the major thing that we got out of Black Ops was the zombies. In World at War, zombies had come along as kind of a side. It's kind of like the end of the game of Modern Warfare 2. Whenever you could raid the plane, the zombies came along in in World at War, and it was just a little side thing. Black Ops made that into a full-blown section of the game, and even it released a ton of DLC for it, including maps like Ascension and Moon, that really got players to pay attention to it. And this is where zombies started growing into an unstoppable force, something that people actually buy Call of Duty for today. Now is where it really starts to take a turn for the worse. We've gotten to the top of the mountain of Call of Duty, and we have hit Modern Warfare 3 that starts to bring it down. Oh, where to begin with Modern Warfare 3? The storyline of the campaign it was so bad. It was such a bad story. And then the multiplayer, it was just really unbalanced, and a lot of the hit detection was off. And all in all, the DLC had no variety to it. The multiplayer maps were kind of reskinned versions of previous maps that are already released in the game. And all in all, it was just kind of an experience. The color scheme was like a green to gray style. And all in all, it was just something that no one really could get into. And what took people aback was that this was the first Call of Duty game that you didn't see getting 5 stars or 5 out of 5, if it's on a rating of 10 out of 10, I'm saying top of the line ratings all the way across the board. This was the first time we hadn't seen that. Obviously there were still 10s, obviously there were still 5 out of 5s, but sometimes you would see, a 4 out of 10 on some kind of small gaming channel where it's like, this game sucks, You'd get all these people, and this was the first time that Call of Duty itself had gotten worse reviews than, 5 stars. So after that, Black Ops 2 came along, and we were all hoping, alright, so they had one off year. Here comes Black Ops 2. Let's go ahead and get it going, really bring it. Let's hit it hard. And Treyarch was making their way back to the spotlight after doing Black Ops 1, and we expected a lot from this. But unfortunately, the story for Black Ops 2 had a lot of weird elements to it as far as campaigns go. I remember one mission you had to ride horses, and that was weird. It kept jumping back and forth between Vietnam and the future, and all in all, it was a good idea, but I just really don't think it delivered to the fullest potential that it had. And as far as the multiplayer goes, it was pretty solid, but it felt like a reskinning of Black Ops 1, which is not a bad thing. It's just that there was not a whole lot of originality. But the Scorestreak system was invented or, brought into the game, where instead of just getting rewarded for the amount of kills that you get to count towards your kill streak, use like the chopper gunner or the predator missile, etc., that you would actually get counted for the other achievements of the game, like capping a flag or picking up the bomb in Search and Destroy, planting the bomb, etc., stuff like that. And that's one of the cool innovations that we saw in Black Ops 2, but ultimately, it was just kind of another Call of Duty game. But as far as they go, it was still a pretty okay one, but people were still disappointed. Just as compared to Black Ops 1, it wasn't what people expected. And now we have officially reached the bottom of the barrel, Call of Duty Ghost. This is actually the first Call of Duty that I ended up not buying, because I felt like I was going to buy it, and then I saw the footage of it, and I thought there is no way that I could stomach spending $60 on this. And we did see quite a significant price drop in the first couple of months, signifying that other people weren't as satisfied with it as they had been with other games in the past. But the pick 10 system was introduced, and that's basically where you can choose your gun attachments, kill streaks, all that stuff, and you have 10 slots to do it with. And that was pretty much the only innovation, and some people even say that that doesn't work really well. The maps were awful in Call of Duty Ghost, or I guess I should say they are awful considering it's the current game. Normally Call of Duty has a lot of mazes and paths that you take, and normally you just run these paths and get kills. That's why people like it so much, is because it's a rhythmic game, and you just kind of go with the flow, and you keep on going around these paths and getting kills. Ghost did it completely differently, where basically it's more of a field with a couple of walls in between it. And instead of having these little rat races around these paths where people can come and, hit each other and, kill people and then respawn and run back, it's basically more of a group of people meets in the middle and they kill each other and then they all die and then they start over and they kill each other. It's kind of like a Spartan style stabbing at each other and just getting kills. All in all, it really didn't work out well. The maps, it just ends up becoming a giant cluster of enemies, and all in all, it was just really poorly done. And now we are here today. We're in the transition month between Call of Duty Ghost and the new Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and unfortunately, the hype is not there like it used to be all of those years ago for me, and I'm not surprised. Call of Duty Ghost ruined the name of Call of Duty and any respect that it had left for itself. And a lot of people are hoping Advanced Warfare can bring that back. But the amount of negativity that I've seen towards this game already, it just goes to signify that people screwed up, and it's not... Call of Duty probably won't come back, because Advanced Warfare is already being called a Titanfall ripoff. And the fact that they have Kevin Spacey as the main villain, a lot of people aren't happy with that. And it just feels like it's more of a... It's more of just a money pit nowadays, as opposed to a game, and obviously people are in it for the money now. So, Call of Duty is still on a huge decline, but we're going to have to see if Advanced Warfare has anything left to give the Call of Duty name as far as redemption goes, because at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to be the game to revive the nearly dead original Call of Duty fanbase, but we do have to remember that all good things have to come to an end at some point. Call of Duty had a long time running. This is going to be, Advanced Warfare is going to be the 14th game of the main Call of Duty series. This is not counting the mobile iterations and that one zombies thing on iOS and Android. There are a ton of Call of Duty games, and millions, if not billions of dollars have been made from the merchandise, the games, the special edition controllers, the cell phone cases. All of this stuff has made a ton of money, and it has entertained people for years. But like I said, it's got to come to an end at some point. And obviously the developers are running out of innovative ideas, and eventually we'll have to abandon the series altogether, but they're trying to keep it going as long as possible, and I respect that, you know. When you got a awesome racehorse, you want to try to doctor it up as much as you can to keep it running, because, you know, that racehorse is what pays the bills, and Call of Duty, it still has enough name reputation, and people still know, oh, Call of Duty, that's a video game. You know, people will still know the game and will still buy it. But unfortunately, it is definitely on the decline as of Advanced Warfare's release next month. So there you guys have it. That's a breakdown of my history of Call of Duty and the history of how it has come to be the gaming series that we have today, the one that we think is going to die pretty soon. If you like this video, if you like my little opinionated video that I put out today, drop me a like down below. Comment what your favorite Call of Duty was and how you think Advanced Warfare is going to play out. If you don't think Call of Duty is dying, give me a reason why in the comments. You know, I'd be glad to hear you. This is just, like I said, my opinion. Feel free to share yours down below. And if you get a chance, head over to my channel to check out some of my other content. I post a lot of videos, and I almost guarantee that there is something that you will enjoy. So as always, thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. Peace.